Right, there is definitely some other problem that I'm missing, because and this heatsinky casey thing with the electronics in it is getting hot. Now this was running fine just now, blasting away merrily, and then suddenly it started to go blup, 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 stuttering, and now it's just doing that. And what's the betting that if this cools down a little bit, it'll work properly again. Right, it's literally 2 minutes later. Let's try it now. There you go. And now we're back where we were. It's definitely runtime related or heat related. I can't tell how much hotter this is getting under here, but it is getting warm. So it's beginning to look like the problem is in the magic box. I don't know what this stuff is, but it's not very hard to get off. There's just going to be a lot of it, and I don't want to damage the board underneath, and obviously I don't know how much of underneath here is a board. So it looks like I'm going to be digging around here for quite some time, trying not to do any damage. Right, I pulled, as you can just see there, 6 little Phillips screws out. They appear to be holding in what, it wouldn't surprise me if they're MOSFETs, but I can't see because they're on the other side of this board. I've got quite a bit of the rubber gunge out, as you can see here. Making a right old mess. I've sort of got stuck at this point because I'm frightened to lever the board up, and I can't find anything else holding the board in, but I am puzzled by the fact that there is like a peg there. I think that's a peg of some sort, and a peg there, and I'm not sure what those are. These 3 there and 3 there, they seem to have gone through to there, so that's fairly easy to identify, but there's nothing else on this side. So if that's a peg, it doesn't seem to go into the aluminium. Well, I don't know how well that will show, but that little point there and there, they obviously are support pegs, because there's one, there's the other one. I can prise a little bit against the board there, and a little bit against the board there. Not surprisingly though, I'm terrified of trying to lift it and break something on the actual board. But the goo is still holding everything in place quite well, so I'm going to carry on digging away at the goo. Right, as you can probably tell, I've got a screwdriver jammed in that end to lift that end up very slightly, and I'm trying to get in underneath this end. I've managed to clear that peg a little bit, that one almost completely. So I think with a little bit of luck, just need to check under there. Right, I can't see anything catching. Now that has stayed, that was under there, so that's that piece there. Looks like it's some kind of thermal something. And you can see that that is going to pull off. Oh. And then this pad was obviously I'll just put it there for now, out of the way. Oh, sticking to my finger, that's it, right. Let's get those little bits off. A few more bits down there, get that out of the way. But as you can see, I don't know what this is. It's not quite silicon. It's like silicon, but silicon would not snap like that. So I don't know what that is, but you can see there's one hell of a lot of it. Right, it's almost all off now. Just that bit there, and then a few odd bits on this side. Right, there's the heatsink cleaned up. There's the two pegs that the board sits on. I've put the 3 screws for the MOSFETs this side and the 3 screws that side. I've just left them in there like that. And this is the board cleaned up. It's taken over an hour to get that out, so this is not for the faint of heart. And obviously that sits down there like that, and the screws go in from the top to hold it in place. I just need to have a closer look at this and see if I can understand what's going on. My best guess, which might be completely wrong of course, is that what's happening is that as soon as one of these gets warm, it's breaking down and not working properly. And so that's what's causing the motor to stutter and then stop, because these are not behaving as they should. But there's no sign looking at them that there's a problem with them. They all look absolutely fine. So of course that means that some other part of the board could just as easily be faulty. I'm not sure how I would ever know. It's a very complicated board, but we'll see. Right, I've put the circuit board back onto its heatsink so that I can test it. Fully charged battery, connected back to the motor, which is there, and if you watch, so we obviously haven't got a proper set of signals going through anywhere to make this work. Oh, I should point out that the other safety switch, I've just got some tape around it so that it's jammed on. But you can see it's almost as if one signal is getting through, or maybe 2 signals, but possibly one just to start it. But that's it. Because I'm assuming it's supposed to get a series of signals, like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, something like that, and they keep pushing it round and round and round. I don't know, because I'm no expert on this. But we definitely haven't got them at the moment, whatever they are. But when you think that a short while ago we had this whizzing around, and then now it's doing this all the time, it's just bizarre. Watch this. I haven't done anything. I've just been standing here looking at it and seeing if I can see a problem, and I can't. And then I press this. It's back again. Could it be the switch? After all this, could it just be the switch? I'm just going to desolder these wires to get them out of the way, because they go right across the side of the switch. Come on. So that's the red one. That's the one that's at the back. Because all the rest of the wires are grey, which is not exactly helpful, but if we only undo these 2, we should be alright. So that's the red one off of there. Grey one off of there. So the grey one's at the front. Right, looking at this, it looks like you can open it there and there, and then there and there. But of course you know what's going to happen as soon as you try and open it. Little springs will spring everywhere, because this stuff loves having little springs in it. There you go. Oh, there we go. And I was right, I can see springs. I don't know which way. See? Told you I could see springs. Oh right, that's fallen out. Oh, that's delicate little fingers. Look at that. Got four tiny delicate little fingers. And do they rub on there? I mean, look at that. If that's the track that they rub on. Oh, God. I'm going to have to get that under the microscope, I think, just to be able to see what I'm looking at. And then this. Looks like that will lift out. So that part just rubs in there, so it looks like that part. And I guess it just connects those. And that's spring that we were pushing against. Right, I'll try and get a close-up look at this and see if I can actually see anything wrong with it, but so far it looks absolutely fine. Right, you'll have to sort of take my word for the fact that that is cleaned and put back together, because it's almost impossible to hold everything in the right place and show you at the same time. And obviously now I've got to get this back onto there. Right, just need to get these two wires soldered back on the switch. It's easier said than done because the terminals are so badly bent over, but still. Has that gone in? Right, fiddling the switch with the switch obviously hasn't made any difference, so it doesn't look as if the switch is our problem. So taking that apart was a waste of time, and it didn't look as if there was any problem with the switch. But again, that's all we've got. And sometimes we've got nothing. Sometimes when I move these around, but you can see I've moved that about a bit and now I've lost everything. Yep, I've lost everything now. Oh, no, back again. Obviously whatever the fault is has got worse, because it was intermittent and now it's all the time. I can't get the motor to run at all now. Right, I don't altogether know what this means, although we're learning this together. This is a thermistor taken from a battery pack. Got it set on 20,000 ohms. And you can see it's reading 8.19, so 8,190, 8,200, whatever. If I put my hand on it, you can see it starts to drop. So I assume as I warm it up, resistance is starting to drop. Now if I hold this against one of these, like that, obviously I'm sort of getting some kind of resistance through this as a result of the temperature on there, but my hand is almost touching it as well, which doesn't help. But if I keep that there and pulse this, hopefully you can see we're still staying somewhere around about 6.5, something like that. And if I go to this one, maybe 6.4, and if I go to this one, 6.4. So if I go over to this one, six 6.5, 6.4, 6.6, something like that, but not a lot. Again, this one, similar sort of numbers. But watch what happens when I put it on this one, and I've been pulsing it anyway. But you see it's dropping fast. And the more I do this, the more it's dropping. And you have to take my word for it, but that, yep, that is too hot to touch. The others, they've got a little bit hot. I mean, if I put that there, but you can see it's actually going up. Whereas if I put it on this one, it starts going down again. So these have got a little bit warmer, but this one has got hot. Now, is it because this one is actually working and trying to power the motor over here, or is it because this one is faulty? I don't know. Right, I'll put a little red dot on this one to remind me this is the one that's getting hot. I'm going to try to remove some of this, whatever this is, and then I'm going to unsolder this MOSFET and take it out. That yellow goo is really hard to get off. I'm going to try and get in there to get to the solder now, but oh, we can or not is another matter. I can't shift this at all, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the legs like that, so that that's off. Right, that one's out, so we got that one out. Oh, that one's moving. Oh, that one's out. So it's just this one left. Oh, hey! Give it a bit of a clean off. Right, I can't be 100% sure. There's a sort of squiggle up here which might be an S and a T, but I don't really know. But it appears to have K100, so K100 EO6N1 written on it. So I'm guessing that that's the thing that I need to know. Old one, so old MOSFET. 10 new ones from China. It was as cheap to buy 10 new ones from China as it was to buy 2 in the UK. So I might as well buy 10. The maximum I need to replace should be 6. With a bit of luck it's only going to be 1. Right, for you it's just a few seconds of video. For me it's a month. So it's a month since I took all of this apart. Right, so that's the one that we took out of there, and that's the new one we're going to put in. And the only thing that we've got to make sure is that when it's sitting in there, it's sitting in roughly the same place, like that, because if it's not, the screws won't line up. Right, so by my guesstimates, that's how we need it bent. And then that should slot in there, and then there, and then there, and more or less line up with the ones next to it. And it does, more or less. I think that'll be close enough. I'm sorry I can't get you in any better than this, but I haven't got anything fancy to get close-ups with. I think that's one on. That's another leg on. And that's another leg on, I think. Isopropyl alcohol. Right, I'll put a little bit of heatsink compound on these, as they seem to have stuff on them to start with. I doubt they need very much. If you've used this, you'll know a little bit goes a long way. That should go on there like that. +2. And that is not a very good fit. I'll try a Japanese pH instead. That seems to fit a bit better. That's the trouble with modern things, you never know what size screw fittings have been used on anything. Right, I don't want these too tight, so let's undo them by hand. I don't want them much more than finger tight. Because I can't believe they need a great deal of force holding them on there. Right, roughly back in place. I'm not getting too excited about having it in exactly the right place. Just going to use a clip for the secondary switch so that that's stuck on, which means that this is now our sole on and off switch. So now battery. Now of course, at last count this did nothing. Will it still do nothing? Yes, it will still do nothing. Damn! Not a thing. Look at that. Not anything. Oh dear. We have nothing. That's worse than before. I think we had a sort of lurching before. And now we've got nothing. And is it still getting one MOSFET hot? Oh, stop doing that. Oh! Yeah, we've got a loose wire somewhere, haven't we? We must have, because that's... One minute it's working, the next minute it's not. So we've definitely got a problem with a wire somewhere. No, and that's dead again now. Twist it about a bit. Yeah, there's definitely something to do with these wires over here, isn't it? Right, I don't know how easy this is to see. Got this on continuity. This is the lead. They're the pins it goes to. If I put that on there, that's the first pin on here. I get continuity, that's the black wire. I go to the second one, which is the red wire. Get continuity. Third one, yellow wire, I get continuity. Fourth one, green wire, continuity. Last one, blue wire, nothing. Now I checked on the other side of this pin, but I never thought to check this side. So I do seem to have continuity on the blue pin in the connector, but nothing here at all. Now why on earth is that? And it's not easy to fathom out because this is all sealed in here. I mean, there is no way to see where that blue wire goes there. So we've got continuity there. I hope you can see that. I can't see what you're seeing. So we've got continuity through the wire, but not through the pin. So something is not okay there. Alright, I decided to cut the end of the connector off, and when I did, the pin just fell off. So that was connected to whatever pin was there, and the whole thing just fell off. I'm not even sure where the pin went, it just shot across here somewhere. And obviously that should have been sat there on that pin there, but there is no pin. Right, I found a pin, so if I can get this one out. It's quite ironic really, because generally speaking, if I've got any of those pins, I just throw them away because they never seem to be of any real use for anything. Let's see if we can push it through now. Oh, I think we might have pushed it too far. Let's see if we can just push that back a little bit. I don't need that much sticking out this side. That's more like the original. Alright, and then this connector will have to be soldered onto there, I think. There's not much hope of it doing anything else anymore. It almost will go on. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes and see if I can actually squeeze this connector on, because it will make it easier to solder, but I'm just going to switch you off while I do that because it's boring. Unfortunately the battery went flat as I was soldering the pin on, but there's the wire going onto the pin, so, and obviously the plastic that went round here is missing now, and I was just in the process of putting a little bit of tape round it, because obviously this end's not protected in any way now. I don't think it really makes much difference because I don't think I'm going to allow very much to get near it. And of course when it's in, it's sort of up that way and there's only plastic underneath, so there shouldn't be anything metal that can touch against it. Now of course, was that a fault? Who knows? Let's test it. Right, safety switch is still clipped shut. Normal switch. Now I can't say for certain it's fixed, because it's acted funny before and started working and then stopped again. But it does seem to be fixed. Just a quick check before we go any further. Pull that down. So we're still working. That's forward, so that safety switch should be off. So if I pull this back and pull the trigger, nothing should happen. But it doesn't. And then if you listen, so that should be switch on. So if I pull this back, I should get some life. And obviously it takes a while to stop because I took the brake out. And I took the brake out because the design is a joke. Now obviously what we have to do next is find a piece of wood to cut, because that will tell us if this thing is really working or will it just stop. Right, as you may have guessed from the last clip, I'm not a chainsaw user. In fact, I think that's the first time I've ever tried to use one. This is only really useful for cutting things, perhaps, you know, broomstick size, something like that, not particularly thick. If I use it ever, it'll just be for like pruning in the garden. I don't think you'd ever want to go anywhere near trees or even anything substantial with it. I don't think it would be up to it, not in the slightest. But it is working, so it's fixed.